What are some of the biggest myths that you see pertaining to gut health in women in midlife?
That gut health is just gut health, first of all, that it doesn't have anything to do with your brain or with your hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And then that, you can just take a probiotic or some kind of supplement to just fix it. So a lot of women don't realize that this is like happening in their bodies, like this big change that's happening. So when estrogen goes down, some of the bacteria that are dependent on estrogen die.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that happens is the tight junctions in the gut become looser. And so you get more of a leaky gut.
The views and opinions expressed on unPAUSED are those of the talent and guests alone and are provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. No part of this podcast or any related materials are intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So many women come to me in their late 30s and 40s saying the same thing. I woke up one day and my body felt different. They're not doing anything wrong, but suddenly their hunger is louder, their energy is gone, their weight won't budge, their sleep is off, and nothing that used to work works anymore. So many times they're told it's stress or aging or that they just need more discipline, and they're left feeling like they're failing their own bodies. My guest today understands exactly why that happens. Dr. Amy Shah is a physician trained in internal medicine who made a deliberate pivot into nutrition, hormones, gut health, and lifestyle medicine when she realized traditional care wasn't giving women the full picture. She's built a career translating complex physiology into practical strategies that actually meet women where they are. She is the author of I'm So Effing Tired and a new book, Hormone Havoc. This latest book puts language to what so many women are experiencing but can't quite name: the chaotic intersection of hormones, metabolism, inflammation, gut health, stress, and modern life. It's about understanding what your body is asking for and responding with intention instead of blame. In this conversation, we'll talk about the gut-hormone connection, what eating well really looks like after 40, and how movement and lifestyle habits can work with hormone therapy, not against it. I want this to be a conversation for everyone, but especially for those women who are tired of being told to try harder and women who are ready to understand what's actually happening inside their bodies. I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, a board-certified obstetrician, gynecologist, and menopause practitioner. I'm also an adjunct professor of obstetrics and gynecology at the University of Texas Medical Branch. Welcome to unPAUSED, the podcast where we cut through the silence and talk about what it really takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Welcome to unPAUSED.
Thank you so much for having me.
I realized there's this huge gap in my knowledge. Being an OB, the only time I would even speak to a patient about anything to do with nutrition other than workout more, eat less, was when they were pregnant, if they had gestational diabetes.
Yes.
And we had the gestational diabetes diet, which had been written in 1963, and it was mimeographed. The sheets were purple. And we'd go in the filing cabinet. Now, I'm dating myself, before the internet. I mean, not internet, but, before you just have all these digital tools.
Yes.
So I go to the filing cabinet. It was almost illegible because it had been copied so many times. And because we were in South Texas, it was like 2 tortillas. And it was just the craziest thing, now that I think about it, that we were giving pregnant women this diet that told them exactly what to eat every day.
And that's the thing, all of this work in women's health, you do so much amazing work. And when I was looking at the nutrition research, I was like, that is so bizarre. We don't ever tell women how they're supposed to eat. They're just supposed to figure it out, from all the diets online. And I was like, there's got to be something. So I started to find that there was this gap in understanding how nutrition, gut health, and women's health kind of fit together. And that's what I started to talk about. Walk
me through that thought process, because I didn't really think about it until I was having this unexplained body composition. I called it weight gain, but it really was a body composition change. My weight did not change that much, but suddenly I had a belly when I never really, outside of pregnancy, never really struggled before. And all of my patients, the vast majority, were complaining of the same thing. Everything I've been taught to say really, are you really parking 6 more meters away from the door? Are you really taking the stairs? Are you really counting your calories? None of that made sense because these were highly educated, motivated women I raised children with. I knew them. I worked out with them. I went to church with them. I ate out with them. And I'm like, they're not doing anything different. Something is going on. So that to me was like, what's happening? And made me start really questioning my training. But so that was me.
No,
back to you.
No, but that exactly happened to me. Is like, I was noticing my own body changing. And I thought it was just me that missed the memo about, how women's hormones and our gut and our brain changes. And so I was like, asking my OBGYN besties that I worked with. And I was like, did I miss something? And then they're like, no, you're just a mom. You're busy. You're having kids.
We were taught those platitudes.
Yes.
We were taught to say that.
I went to my primary care doctor and I got a whole blood work. And it's like the same thing our patients go through. They were like, you're fine. Like, what's the issue? Like, your blood levels are fine. And so I thought to myself, what is it that I should be doing right now? What is it that we should be doing right now that's proactive, that can help as our bodies are changing? And so that's when I started to look into my own, because I was like, we didn't even learn this in nutrition school. When I was there, there was no talk about hormones and gut health and how that all interplays with nutrition. And then that's when I started to realize myself that I got to go back to this nutrition stuff and figure it out. Okay. So I was in immunology fellowship at Columbia.
Let's go back for our listeners because she's not OBGYN like me.
Yes. No,
so walk us through your training a little bit.
So I went to undergrad. I went to the nutrition school at Cornell, the division of nutrition. And then I actually created my own major there because I knew that I was going to go to med school at the end of, so I did like something called human biology, health and society. It was like a nutrition and medicine kind of major, which was cool. I thought that's what I was going to do. I went to medical school and then I was like, where's the like specialty that I can go into that's like nutrition and medicine? They're like, no, that doesn't exist.
That would be the dietitian we don't pay.
Right. And they were like, that's a whole, like being a nutrition major in med school at that time was like being a major in like dance. Like they were like, why did you major in that? Like, it has nothing to do with medicine. And I was like, oh, okay.
Isn't that crazy?
It was like, so nobody had that background. Everybody was like biochem. Like it was very like, so I chose internal medicine because think about it, like there's no, general medicine, right? Like that's the only place I could think of. And then as I was looking after I was done with medicine, I was like, okay, what's the fellowship or training I can do to like kind of meld this together? And so I ended up doing immunology. And in America, immunology and allergy are combined. So allergy, immunology. And actually in Columbia, immunology, allergy, and pulmonology are all like one department. And when I was doing my immunology fellowship.
And for our listeners, what is immunology?
Immunology is the study of the immune system, which seems like it has nothing to do with gut health. But that's where the story gets interesting. So I'm sitting in our journal club. Every week we have 2, which is like insane.
For our listeners, journal club is a common practice in most academic institutions where we sit down and review journal articles together as a big group. Someone presents something, then we kind of debate the merits. And we learn how to read journal articles and how to tell a good article from a bad article and really how to look at evidence in a clear way.
So when we're looking at these immune system, immunology articles, it's all about the gut. And I'm like, so how does this work? And they were like, oh yeah, because that's where the immune system is. The immune system and the gut are constantly talking to each other. They're talking to each other and they're talking to the hormones. And
this sounds woo-woo to me. Right? Because no one ever taught me this. I know it now, but like this is revolutionary.
Yes.
So like
it is literally like there's a trillion with a T organisms in there. And they're literally making the decisions for our hormones. They're making the decisions.
How?
They're deciding how much estrogen. 40% of our estrogen gets recirculated through the gut. And they decide there's an estrobolome, a special kind of gut bacteria that decides if it's going to go back to us or if it's going to be excreted out. So it's hormone balance. Like when we talk about hormone balance, like that's what it is. And it's deciding how the feedback that it gives to our brain. So serotonin, there's melatonin. So
we're creating these brain hormones.
We're creating serotonin. 95% of the serotonin in our body is made in the gut. And serotonin and tryptophan goes to serotonin or melatonin. But if there's a lot of inflammation, tryptophan goes away from serotonin and melatonin. And it goes to this kind kynurenine pathway. Kynurenine pathway is like an inflammatory pathway. So if you are eating foods with tryptophan, because we can't make tryptophan.
Right.
If you're eating foods with tryptophan.
Like turkey.
Yes. And they are turning into, your gut bacteria are like, yes, awesome, turning this into serotonin or melatonin to help our feel good, to help our sleep, help our hormones. But if there's inflammation or stress, the pathway actually goes to the inflammatory pathway and it bypasses making serotonin and melatonin, which is why we feel like crap. So when we are eating badly or we're having a lot of inflammation, we're kind of not making enough serotonin, not making enough
and so for
melatonin.
our listeners, serotonin does what in the brain?
It's like the happy chemical. It is something that everybody kind of thinks of when you feel happy. That's like really, and the melatonin is the one that makes you sleep and so regulates your sleep and wake cycle. So those are like the two big things that actually change, right, during perimenopausal women. And so you have that happening. Then you have a crosstalk. There's consistent walkie-talkie crosstalk between the brain and the gut.
Okay.
And so what most people don't realize is that the gut is constantly talking to the brain about what's going on in there, with the immune system, with the hormones, and with what you're eating. And then the brain is giving feedback down to the gut. So it's like a two-way street.
How does the brain talk to the gut?
So the brain will say, based on the information it's getting from the external world. So for example, good things, sunlight, community, love, it's sending good signals down to the gut and the gut feels relaxed and it's making more serotonin and it's like happy. It gets really happy when we're moving, like exercise in nature. But then if it's having negative inputs like stress, you're sad, you're in a dangerous situation, it sends those signals down to the gut too. It's a two-way walkie-talkie, constantly talking to each other. And so all of our decisions that we think are made by our brain, it's really that brain-gut axis. That's the center. And that's why I think it's so important for women especially to realize, like, if you want to move into this next stage of your life in the best way possible, you have to understand that brain-gut connection, because then your hormones get better, your immune system gets better, your mood gets better, and your digestion gets better because the center is there. So like during that immunology fellowship, I kept saying to myself, that's weird. Every single article is talking about that interconnectedness, that crosstalk between the gut bacteria, the immune system, our hormones, and the brain.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody in clinic was talking about that. So,
no, I was taught zero.
Yeah.
Estrobolome, first time I heard of it 2 years ago.
Yes.
And I was like, let me read this again.
Yes.
Like, what?
I know. And the fact that the gut bacteria actually make things for our body. So like they make serotonin, they make dopamine, like they make things that actually function in our body. They're like a part, it's kind of like the Amazon rainforest. They're like coexisting with us. And so trying to kill them, be clean and take antibiotics and, be like get rid of bacteria is like the worst thing we could be doing to our health and our brain health and our hormone health, because these guys are the fighters for us.
Should we never be taking antibiotics?
We should never be taking antibiotics unless we absolutely need it. For example, there's the problem with antibiotics is, imagine if you lit a fire in the entire Amazon jungle, which happens, right? And now it's barren. And now it's going to take years
to grow back.
Yeah. And so if, targeted antibiotics, obviously those are the best, but there's really not a great way to get that barren land back. You can't just throw probiotics on it. And the thing is, we're losing gut bacteria generation to generation because in our last 100 years, we've kind of become very sterile. And even mothers are passing down less bacteria to their kids. And that's what we need to not get sick. That's what we need to balance our hormones. That's what we need to feel our best. So it's a real problem. So we got to get bacteria back. And so actually the whole book, the reason why I wrote it is that I was thinking to myself, this is basic thing: fiber, probiotic foods, and protein. Like, you can be on any diet. You could be a carnivore. You could be a vegan. But if you were able to grow that gut bacteria by feeding it, that's what fiber does. Or if you're adding more bacteria from probiotic foods, And if you're eating more protein, which the gut also loves, gut bacteria, you are able to actually get yourself to that next level. Like, I think that a lot of women, this is the launching pad, like perimenopause, right? Like,
what's an inflection point?
It is. And it's like so many people either go and live out their dreams and their gifts. And then there's people who really go through a very tough time during that time. And I just want to equip women with something that might help them. And I feel like once I started to do it, the gut bacteria changes in 3 days. We have good data that it takes just 3 days to actually change the entire gut microbiome.
Wow.
So you can change yourself in 3 days.
So you talked about estrogen.
Yes.
You talked about serotonin. You
Yes.
talked about melatonin.
And dopamine is our other kind of, some people call it a feel-good hormone, but it's more like our craving hormones. So dopamine is the one that when you are really wanting something bad and you get up off your chair, into your car, drive across town and go get it, and you finally feel satisfied, that is dopamine in your brain. Like, it is the strongest actual phenomenon that happens in our body. Like, if you have a dopamine craving, you will do anything to get it. And that's why drugs and alcohol are so addictive, because they use that dopamine pathway.
Okay.
But we can use it to good too. Dopamine pathway is also the one that makes us motivated to do more, to reach higher, to like do more stuff. And dopamine is also really regulated. And
I was going to say, how is it connected to the gut?
Yeah. So dopamine is also one of the things that the gut bacteria can make. They can regulate it. They can speak it. So this kind of hormone gut-brain connection is something I think that everyone, if they just understood it, they would be like, oh, this is why I have to eat better, or this is why I have to take care of that gut bacteria. And then there's insulin. I think we want to talk about insulin and cortisol.
Yeah, insulin and cortisol. So yeah, talk to me. There's so much on the internet. Cortisol.
Yes.
My feed is full of
cortisol
supplements for lowering, increasing. What is cortisol?
Okay,
why do we need it? And how is the gut involved?
Yes. So cortisol is our stress hormone.
Where is it made, typically?
And that's the thing. It's an adrenal hormone, okay? And it is a good thing and it's a bad thing.
Like, if we don't have cortisol, we die.
Yeah, we need it. People who have Addison's disease are like
sick.
Yeah, they need cortisol to just like stay upright because their blood pressure is dependent on cortisol. So like, if you wake up in the morning and you feel motivated and happy and like ready to go, that is your cortisol. So like, that's good, right? But we just want it to kind of trend down towards the end of the day. And the problem with us in our modern society is that typically we get all these signs to trend down at the end of the day. There's darkness and our bodies are programmed. Around sundown, you're kind of settling down for your last meal. You're kind of getting these clues to kind of calm down. You're not really doing many stressful things. You can't. There's no light, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so our cortisol is kind of trend down. And at the end of the evening, you're like, I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I'm ready to go to bed. And your melatonin's up. Your cortisol's down.
Okay.
And you're able to fall asleep. Enter the modern woman. And 7 p.m. is when the like marathon
Shit
starts.
is going down.
You are giving kids a bath, or you're helping them with their homework. Then you're trying to get your work done for the next day. And you're maybe having a panic call with your mom or like some other sick relative. And then you are trying to watch a show with your husband. And then you're trying to fall asleep. And you're like, I can't sleep. Like I fell asleep, but I'm waking up.
Yeah.
Between 2 and 5, like a couple of times. And so that is your cortisol dysregulated. And I think a lot of women, especially women in perimenopause, will notice that they're having a harder time getting that cortisol down. Both lifestyle and their own hormones are. So as you know, estrogen is really great at dampening cortisol. And so as you start to get erratic estrogen levels, you're going to have an issue with cortisol. And then on top of that, your progesterone's going down, which also helps with relaxing and anxiety. So you have like a double whammy. And then you have some dysbiosis in your gut, and we'll talk about what that is. And that's kind of inflammation that's raising cortisol. And so your mind is just full because we have a lot on our plate all the time. And often people are taking care of both their children and their parents, and they're trying to get rest. And we're just not biologically wired to be handling that much cortisol in the evening. So like, even when I talk to women, I always say like, your evening time, if you think about it, really has to be coordinated with circadian rhythms. That's why cortisol becomes a big issue, because then people are like, oh, just take a cortisol lowering supplement. But it's like way more deep than that, right? Like, it's
people are being told, oh, all you need to do is take this bucket of stuff and we're going to fix this.
Yes.
But
at the end of your evening, if you do a whole cortisol lowering protocol, which includes having some downtime from your phone, which includes maybe not having the excited conversation, happy or sad, with your family members, maybe shutting off the emails before bed and having a routine, that all can help you bring that cortisol down. And also do things to increase your melatonin so that you naturally feel sleepy. These are eat good foods so you can make more tryptophan, goes to melatonin. Get more sunlight so that you can start to get sleepy at the end of the day. And so those are kind of some strategies. So cortisol is really, really tightly wound in this gut hormone brain thing. And it tends to be really problematic because this is a time of life where we're actually facing higher levels of cortisol, but we're also facing higher levels of stress. And that's why it was so hard to tease out which is which.
What about insulin?
So as you know, women become more insulin resistant as they move through the perimenopausal years. So that means that women tend to have a harder time keeping their blood sugars under control. There's a lot more women that are pre-diabetic and have issues with metabolizing their blood sugars. My dad has 5 brothers. They're 5. All 5 of them have diabetes. And they were all diagnosed as skinny men, like in their 30s with diabetes. And so when I went into perimenopause, one of the biggest first signs, was my hemoglobin A1C. For people who don't know, that's like your average blood sugars over 3 months, was creeping up.
Same.
And I was like, what is going on?
I didn't know about the HOMA-IR score back then.
Yeah. And I was like, what is happening? So insulin and blood sugar regulation also becomes a huge issue at this time. It has a lot to do with the dysregulation that's happening between that gut-hormone-brain connection also. But it's something that we all deal with during perimenopause.
And this is a hot topic right now, but what about appetite?
Yes. So that's another thing that estrogen helps regulate, right? Your hunger hormones. And so as you're moving through perimenopause, you're getting less of that satiety feeling. And you're getting more cravings, which a lot of women will say, your natural GLP-1 is going down. And so you're really having more of an appetite to eat things lots of times that are unhealthy for you because you don't feel satisfied. And those are gut hormones in there. So there's a big crosstalk between what's going on in there and our hormones too.
Many women struggle to access quality menopause care. The access gap is real. Women often wait months to see a specialist, face a lack of local care, or feel dismissed when seeking treatment, all while insurance may refuse to cover hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. The challenge has never been the medicine itself. It's been getting effective treatment into women's hands. That's where Musely comes in. As a licensed telehealth brand, Musely connects patients with board-certified doctors who review medical histories and prescribe personalized treatments 100% online with medications delivered directly to your door. Musely's menopause lineup includes a variety of HRT options tailored to individual needs and preferences, including the estrogen pill, the estrogen cream, and the progesterone pill, making bioidentical, physician-guided menopause care simple and accessible. Because menopause treatment is about long-term whole-body health, patients can also message their dedicated doctor directly through the Musely app for ongoing guidance and support throughout their treatment journey. Receive an exclusive 25% off your first order with code PODCAST25. Visit Musely.com or download the Musely app to start your menopause treatment plan today. Managing a teenager's growing independence can be exciting, but it often comes with new responsibilities, especially when it comes to money. As teens start making more purchases on their own, parents want visibility and peace of mind without having to constantly check in. For all the parents out there, we know you're already trying to keep a million different things under control. Cash App is here to help make sure your teens' money and their spending isn't adding to that craziness. It is designed to meet teens right where they are with intuitive educational tools. With an eligible parental sponsorship, your teen gets access to a personalized Cash App card to match their style, plus tools to help them build real-world financial habits in a safe space. Best of all, there are 0 monthly fees or hidden charges. New Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use the code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign-up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner, prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Visa Debit Flex cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, and the Bancorp Bank, N.A., pursuant to a license from Visa USA Incorporated. See terms and conditions for the Sutton Prepaid Card, Sutton Debit Flex Card, and Bancorp Debit Flex Card. Savings provided by Cash App, a Block Incorporated brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. This podcast is sponsored by MIDI Health. Have you noticed the conversation around menopause is suddenly everywhere? It's trending on social media, celebrities are opening up about their symptoms, and conversations that used to happen in whispers are finally out in the open. And honestly, it's about time. For decades, women were dismissed, ignored, or told their symptoms were just part of aging. And while I'm glad the conversation is happening, here's the truth. Menopause care isn't a trend. It's long overdue medical care that women have always deserved. If you've been listening to me, you know this isn't new territory for me. This is my life's work, helping women navigate perimenopause and menopause with real science. That's why I want to tell you about MIDI Health. MIDI is a virtual menopause clinic staffed by clinicians who listen, who take your symptoms seriously, and never utter the words, "It's all in your head." Like me, MIDI focuses on your health span, not just your lifespan. That means taking a comprehensive look at your metabolic health, bone density, cardiovascular risk, and cognitive function, because all of it matters. MIDI delivers the kind of proactive, evidence-based care I've always believed women deserve. And the best part? Women in all 50 states can access personalized care, and it's almost always covered by insurance. So yes, I'm glad menopause is finally getting attention, but don't settle for noise. Get care from clinicians who are in this with you for the long haul. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
What do you think are the biggest sources of inflammation for women in midlife?
Well, one is just that estrogen is going down. Estrogen is an anti-inflammatory hormone. And I know you talk about it all the time because in various settings, it shows up. But this is one of the biggest reasons we are getting inflamed. And it's kind of a chicken and the egg because not only does estrogen cause higher levels of inflammation, it also causes dysbiosis, which is like your gut bacteria change and your gut is getting more inflamed. Mm-hmm. So not only is estrogen going down, but now your gut is more inflamed and making your estrogen, making the inflammation go up, and the estrogen's going down, making your inflammation go up.
Right. You're in this negative feedback.
Yes. Yeah. And then you're also maybe, your dietary habits aren't the best. And so that's
why you kind of got away with it because my patients would come in and say, "I'm not doing anything different." And I said, the system you built for your homeostasis worked great before your menopause. You cannot expect this internal system that you have to function the same way. So
Absolutely.
We need to make some tweaks here so that you can stay healthy.
100%. And so what that inflammatory state that we're in, so part of the reason I talk so much about nutrition is like, one, we can control what we can control, right? We can control our food. We can control how much negative media and people we hang out with to lower our inflammation. And we can really do a lot of things to kind of go out in nature, get sunlight, lower our inflammation, get more sleep. But there's a real inflammatory state that's happening there. And it's part of the process.
What are some of the biggest myths that you see pertaining to gut health in women in midlife?
That gut health is just gut health, first of all. That it doesn't have anything to do with your brain or with your hormones. And then that, you can just take a probiotic or some kind of supplement to just fix it. So a lot of women don't realize that this is like happening in their bodies, like this big change that's happening. So when estrogen goes down, some of the bacteria that are dependent on estrogen die. And one of the things that happens is the tight junctions in the gut become looser. And so you get more of a leaky gut.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So it's like these tight junctions, they're not supposed to let anything in. So they're not supposed to let any food particles.
They're there to protect us, right?
They're there to protect the inside of our body. So our gut is the outside of our body because it is literally from the mouth to the anus. It is a tube. It's only supposed to let things in that we want, but we have a very tight barrier into our body. And the gut bacteria, by the way, that forms 6 to 7 layers of protection. And so that's why we need them. Because imagine your 6 to 7 rows of soldiers were gone. And now it's just you. And that's what happens when we have poor gut health. We're left with just our own gut lining, which becomes looser. The cells between themselves, they have these tight junctions, which like, how it sounds, they're tight and they hold them together so nothing gets through. But as estrogen goes down, you have a poor diet, you're losing all this gut bacteria and all these intruders are like trying to stab at you and trying to get in. And before you had like this big, long, like lots of lush people trying to protect you, like 7-8 rows of people trying to protect you. Now it's just you. Lots of people have something where things get into our bloodstream.
Okay.
So viruses, little piece of food, toxins. And so that itself creates a lot of inflammation in our body. So women will often feel things like intolerances. So now gluten bothers them, dairy bothers them, certain foods that they could tolerate before. Now your body, because a little piece of it got into your bloodstream and your immune system was like, oh no.
What is that? Yeah.
We're going to build a whole system to keep this out next time. And so there's a whole inflammatory response that happens. So that's basically why you want to keep that thick gut lining with keeping your gut bacteria healthy and happy and present and ready to fight. So the strategies for nutrition, at least from all the bulk of research we have, basically says the healthier you can keep those 7-8 rows of bacteria, the better off your body will be because they not only produce those happy chemicals, they help regulate your estrogen levels and they communicate with your brain. They're keeping the communication levels like very, very strong and they're keeping you happy and healthy. So like we need to keep that like whole system, those trillions of gut bacteria, happy and healthy.
So is that what dysbiosis is?
Yes.
So walk our listeners through how we get to dysbiosis. What happens? Is it something they ate? Is it something they did? And then how do we get back to normal, healthy gut?
Yeah,
health?
That's a great question. So dysbiosis, a lot of people don't realize what that means. It basically means that the gut bacteria are unhealthy. So that whole analogy that I was telling you with the 6-7 rows of soldiers, it means that they're either no longer there or there's much less soldiers or they're injured, they're hungry, they're not fed. Like it's exactly the same analogy like the Amazon jungle, like thinking of the lush green forest and then thinking of like a desolate jungle where half the organisms are dead. And now, you're trying to work like you're not thriving with half of everything dead. So the real dysbiosis is basically that your gut bacteria are injured, dead, or not present. There's lots of leaky gut happening because they're not present. And you'll get a lot of symptoms, not only gut, but fatigue. You'll get hormonal symptoms. So this dysbiosis, because the gut talks to everything, will cause waves around your body.
How do we make the diagnosis?
So it's very, very hard. A lot of people that have SIBO, for example.
What is SIBO?
Small intestine.
SIBO.
Yes, SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. So we're supposed to have this amazing Amazon jungle in our colon, our large intestine. We're not supposed to have a ton of those things in the small intestine. But when dysbiosis happens, meaning the wrong bacteria are there, less bacteria are there, they creep up into the small intestine and start to have, give you lots of issues, bloating, indigestion. And so SIBO is like one part of dysbiosis, but there's lots of dysbiosis that are not diagnosed at all.
Okay.
It's just IBS.
What's the difference between SIBO and IBS?
So irritable bowel syndrome is when they can't really find Crohn's or disease like inflammatory bowel disease, but you're having symptoms. You're feeling sick, you're feeling bloated, you might not
constipation, diarrhea.
You're getting very constipated or you're having many bowel movements. And so a lot of times when you want to find dysbiosis, it's often just not even a diagnosis that you can find. It's just that it's happening. And the reason I'm telling you about it or telling the listeners about it is that a lot of times when you actually recognize that, you recognize that in yourself or in your patients, and you're like, oh, so if you start to change that whole gut bacteria Amazon jungle in there, you can actually really not only help treat their gut symptoms, but all of their other symptoms that are happening.
And then is there like a test? Like, is there stool sample that you can do?
It's really difficult. People have tried to do food sensitivity tests. People have tried to do leaky gut tests. People have
tried. What is a food sensitivity test?
Okay,
and do you do them?
Yes. Food sensitivity testing has had a very, very difficult time because we all have them, or lots of people have them, but there's not a good test to look for them. Our immune system is very, very complicated. The tests we have right now are as good as flipping a coin. And a lot of people spend thousands of dollars.
My friends have and been told they're allergic to all these things.
Yeah, and things that they're eating all the time. And often you'll build an IgG to something that you eat all the time. And that's fine.
And what is IgG?
Immunoglobulin G is something like part of your immune system. So you'll have an immune response to a food that shows up on these tests. And they'll be like, oh, you're having an immune response to this food. But what we found is sometimes that immune response is a benign response. And your body was just like, oh, you eat this food all the time. Let me just build some antibodies to it. It's literally not a negative thing. It doesn't act on it. And so you're getting these test results that are 50-50 chance of being right. So no good food sensitivity testing as of yet. And no good IBS testing as of yet. No good dysbiosis testing as of yet.
So kind of like perimenopause. We don't have a great blood test for perimenopause, but you just have to listen to the patient, believe them, rule out the other things.
Absolutely.
And have it in your clinical acumen to make the diagnosis.
And if you arm women with this knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they can say, oh, wait a second. I didn't even ever think about my gut bacteria before. Like, I didn't even know they were connected to my happiness and brain. Like, and I'm like, look, the bulk of the science says if you're eating probiotic foods, like fermented foods, you'll be happier. Maybe you don't care about your gut, but you care about being happier, you know? And so that's why you should start eating them. And so that's why I created this plan in the book. It's 30-33.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically 30 grams of protein in your first meal, like breakfast, 30 grams of fiber throughout the day, and 3 probiotic foods.
So I have a friend who listens to a certain longevity bro online a lot. And she's always quoting him to me. And through one of his podcasts, she did this test that looked at her genetics. And you're looking confused. I had never heard of it either.
Yeah.
And she's a smart woman. She's a dermatologist and she's going to kill me for saying this. So she took some kind of a test, the blood test or something she sent in that looked at her DNA and said, oh, based on your genetics, you shouldn't be eating these foods. And one of them was gluten. And she swears up and down now that she's gluten-free, that she feels a lot better and her gut is healthier. And I was like, I need to ask Dr. Shah about this.
There's no good DNA test. And I know that they're available.
She does feel better not eating gluten.
Yeah. And here's the thing. That's what I hear all the time. Because when we looked into this data, and there's many, many reports on looking at how accurate these tests are, looking at, are there any accurate tests? There's no accurate way of knowing what your immune system is doing inside your gut. This whole world that I told you about, where they're talking to each other all the time, talking to the hormones, talking to the immune system, talking to the brain. We are just discovering that they even do that, much less what they're saying. Like, we don't even know. Like, I think.
So save the money.
Yeah. Like 2025 was the first time they even discovered that the gut bacteria have a unique language, unique way of talking to the brain that is outside of hormones, that's outside of immune system.
What are they?
It's like a new way of communicating.
Some signal that they're
that they have
excreting.
us. So not only do they talk to each other in like 5 different ways, now there's a unique other way. And we're just finding this out like in 2026. Okay.
Wow.
We can't predict what the immune system is going to do with a particular food, or our genetics don't decide what a particular food will do to our system. You can tell your colleague that honestly, the best way to figure it out is by doing a food elimination diet like she just did. Eliminate a food from your life, the top foods, dairy, gluten, and take them out for 4 to 6 weeks, and then add it back and see if it comes back. That's intolerance. And that's that's a gold standard is food elimination diet.
Okay.
So doing a food elimination diet will save you a lot of money and a lot of time, and will prove whether or not you are sensitive to that food.
I want to talk about your pillars, the big 3. And we are so simpatico on this.
Yeah.
Protein, fiber, and plant diversity.
Yes.
Are those the 3 you think most women should start with?
Okay. So actually my 30-33 takes into account the protein, the fiber, but adds a probiotic component.
Okay.
And that is separate from the plant diversity, because you want diverse plants, but you particularly want the fermented plants.
Okay.
Why? Because fermented plants
such as
kimchi, sauerkraut, and you can do fermented dairy too. Like yogurt is our favorite, easiest. Kefir, probiotic cottage cheese, even raw apple cider vinegar is counted in that kind of probiotic food, fermented foods. So fermented foods are really special. Every single culture in the entire world has some form of fermented foods. There's even evidence that before there was like rotting fruit, and we would go for it. We would want to eat it because the fermentation that's happening in the rotting fruit, those bacteria actually go and help that gut army that we have in there.
Yeah.
And so fermented foods have been around for thousands of years, except that now there's no need for them to exist because fermentation is a way to preserve foods. And before we had refrigerators, and before we had other ways to kind of hold foods safe in bottles and jars, we had to ferment them. And that was the only way we could preserve things. Food. Yeah. And so every single culture learned how to do that. And it was really great for our gut because we need more microbes. We need more bacteria. In fact, we have evidence that not only do you want to eat more bacteria, you want to be around more bacteria as much as possible, because the more you can seed the gut, the more you can make it look like that Amazon jungle that's thriving, the better you will thrive.
Okay.
I think those are the fundamental things that you need to do in your diet to actually thrive. So the fiber, 95% of people are not eating enough fiber.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Let's break this down. How much protein?
Yes.
How much fiber?
Yes.
Pre-fermented foods a day.
Okay. So in terms of how much protein, so I decided for my framework that I was going to stick to just the morning protein. And I'll tell you why. 30 grams of protein in your first meal, make it breakfast. It changes your brain. It makes you more motivated, more satisfied.
Why?
You get more leptin. You get more satisfaction.
How?
At the protein at the beginning of the day actually has special impact. After fast.
Okay.
So you wake up in the morning and you have protein at the beginning of the day. It has a great effect on your body. Not only will you have more likely to get the total protein for the day, you're more likely to feel satisfied and not craving. Your blood sugars are regulated, so you're not super hungry. And then you're also most likely to feel energized for the day because protein actually helps your brain feel happy, satisfied. It's like those motivated, focused feelings come from having adequate protein in the morning.
Okay.
And then you're going to have fiber. Fiber is like, I think we get 12 grams on average. Yeah. So 95% of people are not getting the 25 to 30 grams that are recommended. I say 30, 33, because you're getting 30 grams of protein in the morning, and then you're getting 30 grams of fiber throughout the day. And 30 grams of fiber, I believe, can really transform your life and your hormones and your brain. Most of us don't even realize what fiber is.
Yeah.
Like when I do speaking engagements, a lot of people are like, great, fiber. Like, what supplement? And I'm like, what do you mean?
Same.
Yeah. And it's good to, there's a time and the place for that, right? But we have not been educated enough about fiber, about that. Like when I say blueberries and raspberries have fiber, avocados have fiber, people are like, what?
That's what I love about your social media content. You give these really snackable, no pun intended, digestible solutions. Like, here is what this looks like. Here is how to get this in your diet. And here is why.
We don't need to have a very complicated diet plans or longevity protocols, as we say. We need to have things that are going to make a big difference that we can do in our everyday lives. And the data on fiber is like, if you have 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, which is 5 grams of fiber, 5 grams of fiber added to an average person's diet is going to improve their longevity.
And their cardiovascular health. It's really amazing when you look at the quartiles of like how much fiber is a person eating and how likely are they to get Alzheimer's? Like that article blew my mind because, my mother and my grandmother spent, my mother is in a memory care unit and she's about to go into hospice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So you know what? She's had a great life, but this last few years has been a slog. And so I'm very invested in like, what can I do for Alzheimer's prevention and what is the majors and what are the minors?
Yes. That's exactly right.
And so fiber is a major.
Yeah.
Like huge. Also for my heart health, and my gut health, and all of it works together.
And your hormone health.
Keeping the estrogen I'm sapping through my skin and my system.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think people realize also that even if you are taking hormones, like you say you're on menopause hormone therapy, you need to keep your gut in really great shape so that this can be absorbed, so their body can interact with those. Estrobolome can get rid of what's not needed and add back what's needed. To absorb, to thrive, you actually need a healthy gut microbiome. And so I think that is fundamental for brain health, for hormone health. And then the probiotic foods, I think, is such a new concept. But it's not. It's like an ancient concept that's coming back. I always think of probiotic foods as like the sunlight thing. Like it's simple, free, and it was so available all the time to everybody before. And now it's like we have to seek it out, right? Like we have to seek out time to get sun. We have to seek out time to actually find fermented foods because we don't really eat them in our diet anymore. And getting, I picked 3 because that's what the research shows is you should be having 3 to 5. And I'm like,
go through the list again of fermented foods.
Yes. Okay. So kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, probiotic cottage cheese.
So like the Dannon, like strawberry flavored?
The one with the chocolate chips, like skip it. There's a lot of yogurts in the US that actually don't have probiotics in it.
How do you read the label?
If you look at the back of a label in the US, it has to write if there is live bacteria in there because they need to disclose from their food
and it
rules.
Says acidophilus, right?
It will say whatever bacteria. Acidophilus is one type. Bifidobacterium could be, lactobacillus. It could be any bacteria, but it has to say that there is live bacteria and what the type is. Like it's a labeling rule. And so that makes it easy for us. If you're looking for something probiotic and you look at the back and there's no bacteria in it, it's not probiotic. And so kombucha is a great probiotic. Raw apple cider vinegar, like I said, is
with
a great... With the mother.
Yeah, you'll see the stuff floating on the bottom.
Yes, those are great probiotics. I love yogurt and cottage cheese because they're so easily accessible. And cottage cheese also, you have to make sure you're getting probiotic cottage cheese. There's non-probiotic cottage cheese and there's
Again,
probiotic.
You have to flip the label over and read.
And often they'll say probiotic cottage cheese when it's actual probiotic. And then kefir is like fermented yogurt, which is another thing that's very common in Europe, but not very common in the US. And so you can get that now from really any grocery store. I've seen it in basically every single grocery store. So there are some more options for people to incorporate. And honestly, 3 servings is like 1 spoon when you're doing like
wow.
kefir.
It doesn't take much.
Yeah, you don't. It's not like you're eating a full huge bowl of kimchi.
Yeah.
It's like 1 tablespoon of kimchi. You might be adding 2 tablespoons of kefir into your yogurt, half cup, and you're having, it's very, very easy once you put your mind to it to even get 1 or 2. So in getting 3 is like kind of a goal. Same with the 30 grams of fiber. It's really a goal.
So I think of
working towards.
Your probiotics is restocking the pond.
Yes.
And then fiber is the food.
Yeah,
right?
It's the food
but
for the fish.
What's the difference between, I read about soluble fiber and insoluble fiber, and are they both important? Because I literally was at QVC with the weighted vest.
Yes.
And there was another physician there selling some supplements. And I heard come out of his mouth, well, you shouldn't be eating insoluble fiber. It's unhealthy for the gut. No, he was saying soluble was healthy because he had inulin in his supplement.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be eating all this insoluble fiber. It's unhealthy. And I was literally in the green room going, no, I think you're wrong.
Yes. You want both types of fiber because, your insoluble.
I'm like, did I miss something?
I know. So your insoluble makes you poop. And the soluble one, like the one he was referring to, like the inulin or like the chia seeds, for example, what they do is they help regulate blood sugar and they help make you feel fuller. And they have a lot of roles. They even modulate cholesterol. So there's a lot of roles for soluble fiber that are great for you, but you need both.
Okay.
You need roughage and you need soluble fibers, like think of your blueberries and raspberries, and then the insoluble is like the rougher fibers, like the psyllium husk and things like that.
Okay. What if your home could welcome you at the door? Energize your kitchen and calm your bedroom, all automatically. With Pura's family of smart diffusers, you can scent every space perfectly. Choose premium, clean fragrances, adjust the intensity, and set schedules right from your phone. It's whole home scenting, designed for the way you live. Build your Pura system today at pura.com/whole home. Why does blow drying your hair always feel like it takes way longer than it should? For most people, it's time-consuming, a little tiring, and honestly, not always worth the effort. But the right tools can completely change that. Introducing Launch Hair, an easier, more effective way to elevate your everyday routine. Their Axia Halo Ring hair dryer is built to be lightweight, so it feels comfortable to use from the start to finish. And it is designed to dry hair quickly, helping streamline busy mornings without sacrificing results. Pair that with the Gloss Shock Anti-Frizz Hair Repair Treatment, and the difference becomes even more noticeable. Applied to damp hair before drying, it helps smooth, soften, and enhance shine, leaving hair looking polished. What makes this routine stand out is just how simple it is. Just 2 steps that work together to create a sleek, glossy look without extra products or extra time. Because getting ready should feel easy, not like a chore. Go to launchhair.com and use the code unPAUSED to get 20% off your first order. That's LANGEHAIR.com and use the code unPAUSED for 20% off at checkout. My old makeup routine involved so many products, so many layers, and somehow it still never gave me the effortless look I actually wanted. That's why I've been loving Jones Road Beauty. The whole brand is built around the idea that makeup should enhance your skin, not hide it. And their Miracle Balm, I completely understand the obsession. It gives your skin that fresh, healthy glow without ever looking heavy or overdone, acting as my highlighter, bronzer, blush, and even lip tint all in one. It's quick, effortless, and all of their formulas are clean and high-performing. And on the days you want a little more coverage, their new foundation stick is incredible. It's lightweight, buildable, and gives you that smooth, natural finish while still providing a medium to full coverage. Nothing cakey, nothing flat, nothing that feels like it's sitting on your skin. With 30 shades and skin-loving ingredients like ceramides and sodium hyaluronate, it leaves your skin looking hydrated even, and naturally beautiful. Modern-day makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional for effortless routines. For a limited time, our listeners are getting a free gift on their first purchase when they use the code unPAUSED at checkout. Just head to jonesroadbeauty.com and use the code unPAUSED at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. Perimenopause is not early menopause. It is its own distinct biological phase, and it has been largely ignored. My new book, The New Perimenopause, is about the 7 to 10 years before periods stop, a transition that is anything but gentle. Hormones fluctuate wildly, and for many women, this is when anxiety, brain fog, sleep disruption, weight changes, mood shifts, joint pain, and that unsettling feeling of I don't feel like myself anymore begin. Long before anyone says the word menopause, perimenopause often starts quietly. It shows up in the brain first, then the body, then everywhere else. And all too often, women are told nothing is wrong. I wrote The New Perimenopause because you deserve answers before things spiral. You deserve care before burnout. And you deserve a clear roadmap for a transition that medicine has ignored for far too long. The New Perimenopause is now available everywhere books are sold. Learn more and order your copy at thepauselife.com.
So we both live on the internet.
Yes.
Have built followings trying to educate. And
You do it so
get
well.
tagged in a million things,
Yes.
and I'm sure you do too. So walk me through the biggest nutrition myths you think are harmful. Because
Okay.
there's some things that are like, neutral, but like, where do you think we're getting it wrong on the
Okay,
internet?
so there's a few things. I think the cleanse trend is really
Coffee enema?
Oh my God. It's so crazy. So I'm all, I think cleanses in general. So like, I just did a whole thing on, so there's senna in a lot of these cleanse pills.
And what is senna?
Senna is a natural, so it's a lot of these are natural cleanse, and senna is a leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it gives you diarrhea. It just makes you poop.
Senecot, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's great if you're trying to like one-time poop. But what happens is when you're taking a lot of these cleanse pills, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you are actually causing a problem in your gut, because what it does, it actually forces the gut to contract.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to force the gut to contract and you stop using it, your gut doesn't contract anymore. And so you're like, oh, shoot, I need that stuff again. I need the cleanse stuff again to go again. And then you're taking it again. And now you're dependent on it. If you looked at the inside of your colon, it turns black and it looks like a spotted, we call it a Louis Vuitton colon. It looks like a spotted Louis Vuitton bag. And basically because some of the cells in your gut die and fall off and create this kind of dark
And
area.
that's from chronic senna use.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so one time here and there, no big deal. But that is like a lot of the cleansing that we're doing, even the colon cleanses, the cleanses with senna, the coffee enemas. I mean, that kind of stuff is really dangerous and can do a lot of damage to the body. Well, one nutrition myth I think is like that we're just talking about here is that hormones are completely separate from nutrition, that there's nothing you can do to help your hormones through nutrition. I think, or that it's its own little category is something that I think a lot of people need to understand, that, hey, like this is really, really important. It's a fundamental thing that you need to be doing. We put food in our mouth at least 3 to 5 to 7 times a day. And you have this chance to actually change the trajectory of your life because it's going to help your immune system. It's going to help your hormones and it's going to help your brain. So that's a really big one.
All right, let's talk about fasting.
Yes.
I think you were fasting MD for a long time. And I was a huge, back when I was putting a toe in the water in nutrition and learning and looking at what studies were available, I was very positive about fasting. But I have to say, back then, my whole focus before I really understood nutrition and body composition was weight loss.
Yes.
To be honest, women were gaining weight in menopause. I was gaining weight in menopause. And there was decent data I felt on fasting, but I've not had a reversal, but I've had to expand my understanding of aging and nutrition and what our goals are. But when is fasting good and why?
Okay. This is a great time to talk about circadian rhythms because I'm going to be talking about fasting in accordance to circadian rhythms.
Okay.
So circadian rhythms are our day and night cycle, and our bodies, 75 to 80% of the processes in our bodies take input from the circadian rhythm. So when our thyroid hormone gets released, when our melatonin gets released, basically every single hormone in our body depends on circadian input.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need sunlight and we need darkness. And we need to get that because we need to feel attentive. We need our hormones to work well. We need our gut to work. Even those gut bacteria that can't see the sun, they get input when you get sunlight and they get super happy. So the sunlight is really, really important. We also need time to repair and renew.
Mm-hmm.
So we need darkness. And with darkness should come fasting. So the reason I say this is that, again, the way our bodies were programmed pre-internet, we're programmed around 8 o'clock is, and you look at every study, it's around 8 o'clock-ish in your local time that your body starts to shift into a different mode. And so your insulin, your pancreas is told to turn down the insulin. Mm-hmm. And to start repairing, because you can't do everything all the time. If you were getting guests all day to your house, like, you would never be able to clean or repair anything. And so this is a time that your body naturally says, like, all right, it's dark. You know, the human probably finished their dinner. There's not going to be much coming now through. This is our time for us to repair, renew. So our gut is going into repair mode. Our muscles are going into repair
mm-hmm.
mode. Our brain is shutting down and going into a different mode. It's still active, but in a different mode. And so when you order Uber Eats at midnight and you have this huge like dinner with 5 courses, you are really giving your body a big, big load at a time that it's already shut down all its processes. It was like, if someone woke you up in the middle of the night and asked you to do a complicated math problem, you would be like groggy. You might not be able to do it. You might be able to do it, but it might take a lot longer. And then in the morning, you're like annoyed and tired because you got woken up in the middle of the night. And that's exactly what happens when you're eating this huge meal at super late at night when you should be sleeping and resting and renewing. So long story short, then if you're trying to time fasting, you should eat an early dinner, have 2 to 3 hours break before going to bed.
Okay.
Then you're sleeping and you're getting up and you don't need to roll over and have a Pop-Tart. Like, you can wait 1 to 2 hours. Again, very, very evolutionarily, you would wake up in the morning, you might forage, you might have to make breakfast. You know, like, there's a little bit of break between the time you wake up
and when you
actually
get something
eat.
In your mouth.
And so that's the
coffee
fast
okay?
right there. Yes.
Okay.
Your fast is really based on circadian rhythms and based on your biology, not anything else.
Is it different between men and women?
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. Women, we have a spidey sense for stress. Okay. Meaning that women, when they sense that our body is undergoing stress, it kind of shuts down. Fertility, it's going to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Brain, there's a lot.
Put you in preterm labor.
Yes, exactly. Stress. Women are handle stress differently. And we think biologically it's because of our ability to carry children, our ability to get pregnant. You wouldn't want to get pregnant during a war or a very stressful time, right? So we're very attuned to stress. And so that's why doing stressful things, especially in perimenopause, because not only are you more wired to be stressed about things like this, you are also more likely to be stressed in perimenopause. Your stress resilience goes down. And so the same HIIT workout that you were doing every day without enough sleep and you're fasting 16 hours, it may have worked for you back then and it's not working for you now.
My most difficult patients, or at least the ones who have the hardest time to like understand what's happening in their bodies and understand what's being rewired, are the athletes.
Yes.
Who were like,
Yes.
I was always in control of my body.
Yes.
My body did what I told it to do. I was an elite athlete, and they, especially the triathletes,
they have a hard time.
Really hard time. I don't know if you found the same thing.
Yes. Women athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people on the internet actually who say women must eat before they work out or they shouldn't fast at all. But I believe that biologically we're very varied and day to day in our cycle, we're very varied, right?
Yeah.
So if you wake up and you're starving, yes, absolutely go. And
Eat.
you don't have to fast at all. If you wake up and you're like, I could go for my walk, my morning walk and eat after, great, do that. There's a lot of people that think that like you cannot fast as a woman. That's not true. Or that you should fast as a woman. That's also probably not true. And so you want to be really listening to your own rhythms according to your own part of your cycle where you are in perimenopause.
So what about postmenopause? Does that change at all?
Yeah, you have a little bit more stress resilience at that point. Your hormones are more stable. And so if you want to try, a lot of my patients who are postmenopause have an easier time doing longer fasts without as much of a pushback from their body. And so I think everyone should be doing a circadian fast. I think every single person, whether it's 12 hours or 14 or 15 hours, at some level,
I mean, you're going to fast while you're sleeping.
You need to give your body a little break. I mean, when they looked at time logs and they looked at people's blood sugars and they actually saw how many hours a day people eat, most people are not stopping food they're only stopping for 8 hours or
while they're
7
sleeping
hours.
only.
Literally they're eating right the second they go to bed and the second they wake up. So even if you stretch that out, like 12 hours sounds like easy peasy, but it is not based on what most Americans are doing.
So I tell my patients, listen, they're like, oh, I love fasting, but as long as you can reach your nutritional goals in that window, if you are struggling to get enough protein and get enough fiber and like give your body enough of all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients, you need to open that window up to make sure you can fit everything in.
And Mary Claire, in the last few years, one of the things that's also changed my mind so much about like OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, is that study after study is coming out, whether it's intentional or not, the people who skip meals all day have worse health outcomes. Diabetes, cardiovascular disease, brain disease. It's hard to do causative, like some people don't eat all day because, they're stressed. So maybe like there's lots of other factors playing into it. But study after study that looks at people who skip meals all day, they just have worse outcomes. It's just, you are meant to be eating when the sun is out. Just like roughly, we don't have to match it. You're roughly meant to have the biggest meals of your day in the daytime hours. And you're roughly meant to be fasting in the darkness and nighttime hours. And how you time that, for me, the way I've told people to do it is at 2 to 3 hours before bed, just stop eating. It's great for your digestion, great for your blood sugar, great for your brain, great for your sleep. 2 to 3 hours before bed. So if you eat dinner at 7, you can go to bed at 9. Probably want to take a walk or something before that, help your digestion, help your blood sugar. And then you're going to wake up and you're either going to eat right at 9, which is 12 hours, or you're going to eat at 10 or 11. Stretch out that fast a little bit so that you have a great night of rest and repair. And that's how you should time it. And then if the next night you want to eat dinner at 6 and you get hungry right when you wake up, like go eat.
If you're hungry, eat is what I tell my patients. Like listen to your body.
Yeah. And if you want to, stretch it out to 15, 16 hours one day, go for it. As long as you're not stressing your body out too much. So like I feel the same way about high intensity exercise. So I used to go to one of those popular chains.
Orange Theory.
And I would skimp on sleep. I just thought sleep was like for people who were unmotivated and that I would sleep when I was dead.
I'm an obstetrician. I get it.
Yes. And I was wearing this like the title of like, I'm a martyr for my patients and my family and like I need to never sleep. So I would go to this workout every single day and I would have tons of coffee after. And I would have a stressful day all day long, pick up the kids, super stressed. And then I would repeat the next day. And I was like, why am I not getting the results I want? Like, I'm not getting stronger. I don't feel like my clothes are fitting better. I feel more depleted than ever. And that's the same concept. Like, your body is needing a recovery from these kinds.
I think this is where women are driving them. So I find there's like two camps and there's very little middle ground. Some women are just like, I have no time for this. I have no time to work out. Like they're so stressed out that they are eating whatever's available and fasting quick because they're struggling to find the time to meal prep. They don't know how to do it. And, this is fine. It said healthy on the package. So here we go. And, so hyper scheduled with everything they have on their plate. There's no time to like focus on exercise or people who are like so rigid, driving themselves, giving themselves medals and badges for suffering, basically. What is the middle ground?
I know. And
I'm struggling
honestly,
every day.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you. This is the reason I wrote the book. I actually looked at the Menopause Society clinician handbook. No chapter on nutrition. Okay. I looked at all of the information for women's health. No information about, it's like very general, like eat healthy. We have no, you know, like, I was like, how are people supposed to know if they don't even know what healthy is? Like you said, like if it says healthy on the package, does that count? Like, you know, so what is healthy? So the 30-33 is basically my attempt to say, hey, looked at all the literature, looked at everything that we could be doing. These are the 3 things that if you had no time, you could try to get to. Yeah. You don't have to get 30 grams every single day on your first try. You don't, 30-33. You can, at least you have a framework to work towards. And you can be vegan, you can be paleo, you can be carnivore, whatever you feel like doing, but get there. And that's why, because I thought to myself, I drove myself crazy. My patients drive themselves crazy. Nobody's giving us this information. And where are we supposed to go? There's no guidelines. There's guidelines for pregnancy. There's guidelines for children. And you said even the guidelines for pregnancy aren't great.
Antiquated at best.
But
at least the last time I did OB, which was about 10 years ago.
So there's no guidelines for women. It's really confusing because there's like 1,000 other messages that we're getting in the meantime. So I was like, what if we like cleared out all the dust and like just said, where's the evidence the strongest? And that's there. And then you mentioned plant diversity. I talk about that in the book, but I didn't include that in the 30-33. And the reason why, one, it's just too many things. And 2, it seems overwhelming. So the data, as you know, it shows that you should be having 30 different plant foods a week.
I mean, that came out of Zoe's data. You know?
Yeah. And everyone thinks, oh my God, like I could never do that because they don't understand that like spices count and, herbs count. And like if you use a Trader Joe's, like everything but the bagel seasoning I counted, there was like 6 in there, so it's not so hard to get that, but it's real. I mean, you tell a very stressed out, like my old me would have been like, I'm not doing that. Like, there's no way I'm doing that. That just seems too much.
I mean, my old me was like less. Everything is less.
Yes.
You need to eat less. Like the concept of
smaller.
More.
Yes.
Is so new.
Yes.
And so freeing.
Yes.
How do you feel about body composition? Or do you use the scale?
Yeah. Okay. So lean, we know that we lose lean mass and gain adiposity in the wrong places.
That would be fat.
Yes. And we get fat around our organs and we get fat around the midsection, which is the dangerous area. And we lose lean muscle mass, which is our little bit of muscle that we had that peaked,
30,
at
28.
30. And yeah, exactly. And then we've been kind of fighting against the loss of that. So I do think it's really important to know your bone density, to know where your lean body mass is.
How early should someone, and I'm not talking about the guidelines.
Yes.
I think we're agree that the guidelines do not serve women for bone density as far as when to screen. When do you screen your patients?
I mean, I think nobody gets screened until usually like their 60s and 70s. It's like insane.
Most women don't get screened at all.
Yeah.
And they get the first time until they break.
Yeah. And so I think perimenopause.
My mother has never had a bone density scan in her life.
Well, my mother only had it because her mother had multiple fractures from osteoporosis. And so they were like, oh, you might be at higher risk but she didn't get it till she was in her 60s. So we should start this as perimenopause.
Have you had one?
I have had one. Perimenopause.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
We need to be watching that.
Yeah. You need to know where you're starting.
Yes.
Because naturally we have our peak bone density in our late 20s. And then it just aging process, we lose. So if you were a child athlete or a gymnast or did something where you were constantly having resistance training, you're going to have higher bone mass typically. I have so many patients who were incredible long distance runners and they are really struggling with their bone density.
Yeah. And the bone density thing. So tell me what your thoughts are, because when it comes to exercise, for example, we're always trying to tell people to really pull you want to pull on your muscles because they pull on your bones and you get more bone density. And there's certain exercises that really help. Obviously, weightlifting.
Yeah. So Lift More trial, they did squats, they did deadlifts.
Yes.
They jumped and did jumping pull-ups and then let go and fell. And they did a couple of other things.
I think those are really great. But I think the debate happens when it comes to like Pilates and yoga and all those things. And I think that there is a very good place for Pilates and yoga, but I think it has to be mixed in with the weight training.
Right. Variation is the key to It's like 30 plants a day. It's like 30 exercises a week. I've really had to rethink, and for my patients too, really rethink exercise because again, before it was thin. So I did a ton of cardio. I was a runner. I walked. These are all great things for my heart. Right. Yeah. And so when I talk to my patients, I'm like, what are our goals here? So we need to have a strong heart. We need to have strong bones, strong muscles, strong brain. And those are all different things.
Yes.
Right. So in general, we say 150 minutes of some cardio around zone 2-ish. Okay. We have great data on that. Great data on women in menopause for heart health. However, for bone and muscle strength, we need to add to that at least 2 days, if not 3, of really serious resistance training. We still need to do some sprints in there. Doesn't have to be much to get that VO2 max up. Like this is what it takes. I like to habit stack. My daughter habit stacks, and so like I'll be walking on a treadmill while I'm working.
Yep.
I'm doing Zoom calls, elevated with my weighted vest on so I can hit more of those goals all at once because I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
I actually did a framework for exercise too, because I knew that if I was going to give nutritional framework, I have to give some kind of thought. And I basically said what I do. Basically, what happened is when I looked at the research, it looks like you're right. 3 days of weight training is ideal for women in perimenopause. So I have a 4-3-2-1.
Okay.
So 4 days a week, you're going to be doing the movement that you love, the walks, the hikes, the dancing, the thing that you can do well into your 80s and 90s, like the things that when we look at longevity and we look at people who are really thriving and they've, swam all for 25 years or so if you love nature walks, for me, it's nature walks or hikes, like great. 4 days a week, at least you want to do that. And then if not more, and then 3 days a week, you want to do the weight training / resistance training. So 3 days a week, you want to definitely incorporate that. The 2 is new for me in the last couple of years. It's heat therapy, hot, either sauna or hot yoga or something that gets my core body temperature up for 20 to 30 minutes.
What does the data say about that?
Yes. So sauna, we have Finnish data. So in Finland, almost everybody uses a sauna and their healthcare system is great. They have data on hundreds of thousands of people. And they have great data on the association of sauna use and cardiovascular disease, on brain health, and on longevity.
So what do you think, what is the physiology here? Why is me sitting in a hot box going to be helpful?
So when you raise
I hate sweat.
When you raise your core body temperature, something called heat shock proteins get produced.
HSP.
And when heat shock proteins get produced, it's usually after about 20 minutes. They think that it's not like immediately, but when your body's starting to really warm up in the core. And these heat shock proteins, it's protective for our brain health, for our cardiovascular health. And they don't even know exactly why that would be. Some people think it's like exercise where, when you exercise, you get this, not only are you moving your muscles, but you get the secondary benefit on longevity and heart health.
Okay.
And so it's a secondary benefit, anti-inflammatory benefit. So that's the mechanism of action. So what they found is even if you, in Japan, they have data on hot tubs, like in a hot bath, 103 or 105, that was the same thing. They show that they produce heat shock proteins, and then that has a protective effect on their brain and their body health. And then they found it with other various forms of heat therapy. So the data is pointing to the fact that there is some kind of association between heat and raised growth hormone, protective anti-inflammatory compounds, these heat shock proteins. And so incorporating this into your life 2 days a week is something that I've started to do over the last few years.
How do you do it?
Either hot yoga or sauna. Dry sauna. Dry sauna is where what the finished data came from the dry sauna data. So if you want to like follow how they did the protocols, it would be like 167 degrees in a dry sauna. There's not a lot of debate now that there is good data on heat therapy and all these outcomes. The exact methods to do that is still debated. Like, does red light, saunas, infrared sauna count? Does, going on a run in a hot day count? There's a lot of like that. So we don't exactly know, but we do know that there's a lot of association between heat and longevity and better outcomes in heart health. So we want to do that. And then the last 4, 3, 2, 1, the last one is the sprint. 5% of people, like 95% of people don't sprint after school age, after college.
Isn't that crazy? Is the data around that?
It's crazy.
They'll never run again.
Yeah. And I thought about it for a few minutes and I was like, it's so funny because when I switched from my high intensity workouts that weren't working for me and I started to do more walking and like weight training, I wasn't really sprinting at all.
Me either. Yeah. I realized I wasn't and I went and got my VO2 max and it had dropped. And I was like, I'm not doing sprint training anymore.
And you need that.
Or the equivalent.
Yeah. And so women, we were getting more and more, studies coming out that say like women actually benefit.
So
from
how
sprint.
much, how often, how long, what does the one mean?
So one means just 1 day a week because I was like, everyone's doing 0 days a week. So we got to do one. And because of the data, actually, I think it's out of UT Southwestern, the study that's you can reverse the age of your heart by 20 years, up to 20 years by doing a exercise protocol.
4x4.
So it's the Norwegian 4x4 sprint that they put in there. So there's basically what happened for people who don't know the study. They took people who were sedentary and they put them on a 2-year exercise program. And for the first year, they just worked up. Like they just started to do little weights, little cardio. But at about the 1.5 year point, they started to add in 1 day of a sprint workout. And this was the Norwegian 4x4. And they, at the end of the 2 years, they tested everyone's hearts. And from the beginning of the study to the end of the study, they saw drastic differences in how their heart functioned. And it looked like their heart had anti-aged like 20 years from this exercise protocol. And what the researchers kind of said, like that last little piece seemed to be, they think, was the thing
magic
that really push them to the next level.
So what does a Norwegian 4x4 look like? So everyone's like Googling it right now.
Yes, Norwegian 4x4 is really difficult. Okay. I don't recommend that you start with that.
4 minutes. Yeah.
It's 4 minutes of high intensity work at 85% of your max heart rate. So that would be like running or, doing some kind of heavy, high intensity workout, cycling, running, whatever, for 4 minutes, and then giving yourself a break for 3 minutes. And then going back to doing the 4 minutes and doing that 4 times. So that's a really, really intense, high intensity workout. How I would start is I kind of talk about how I started because I was like, I can't, 4 minutes, like running as fast as you can for 4 minutes. That's like a lot.
Yeah.
So what I did is I went for my first sprint, like I did a jog, walk sprint. And I would do 30 seconds of the sprint. And then take a break. And then I did that for 8 minutes. So you got 4 minutes of sprinting in there. And that's how I started to work myself up to that protocol. I still don't use that exact protocol.
Yeah, I still haven't made 4 minutes.
Yeah.
But I basically, I do like a 15-minute warm up before I start hitting the weights.
Yes.
Not every day.
Yeah.
And I will, walk for the first lap, like on my treadmill. And then I'll always want to do it on an incline because I'm always trying to grow my leg muscles. And I will just sprint flat out until I think I'm going to die. And then turn it down till my heart rate comes back down stable for a minute and then go back up.
That's exactly what
And
I
I'll
do
that for 4 or 5 rotations.
Yes.
And that usually takes about 15 minutes.
Yes. I do this thing called Crazy Eights. I don't know, it's an old exercise, but it's the same thing. Like do this sprint 8 times for like 30 seconds to a minute, however long you can sustain it, and keep it at 85% of your max heart rate. So you're really pushing your heart to the max. Like that's like the goal of this is trying to grow and strengthen that muscle.
Okay.
That is our heart.
Let's talk about hormones.
Yes.
You've said that lifestyle matters, but it's not a replacement for medical care.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help your patients and your followers understand the role of nutrition alongside with HRT? Because everybody wants a quick fix.
Yes.
Like, tell me what to take, tell me what to do, blah, 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 blah,
Yes.
blah. But I think they're missing the symphony of this.
Yes, it's an and. Yeah, and. And you do this so well. I think for far too long, we were kind of like not given that option of hormone therapy. And so I think having that discussion with your physician is extremely important, and to have that option and to know what your options are. And that goes along. That doesn't mean like you don't do the nutrition part. And it doesn't mean if, you do nutrition, you can't do hormones because, it's natural.
Some women are being told all this, but
That
I
it's-
just
that
want to
they
lay
have to-
that to the bed right now. But I do want people to understand, if you go on hormone therapy, it's going to stop your hot flashes. It's going to keep your vagina healthy if you do the local and all that. But if you're really looking at longevity and you're not covering that lifestyle piece, the heart health, the bone health, the muscle health, the brain health, through your nutrition, exercise, and your lifestyle choices, and the like really intentional cortisol lowering things.
Yes.
Then hormone therapy is likely not going to affect your longevity more than 18 months or so. At best.
And I think I'm so glad you said that, because I think there's a lot of confusion around, do we do one or the other? Do we do both? Some people are very against doing, hormone therapy, but I think there's a lot of swing the other way, meaning that a lot of people are very excited about hormone therapy, but then it's really hard to do the other stuff because, you can take something.
I can't tell you how many DMs I get. Like, I started HRT and I haven't lost any weight.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh God, okay,
I know.
we got to start over.
I think perimenopause is a really good time to optimize your diet and lifestyle and start to really dial that in so that you can actually separate what's happening from your hormones. Because going on a really healthy diet and changing your exercise protocol is not, and even decreasing your stress is not going to stop hot flashes.
Mm-hmm. They might get a little better, maybe, but
you're not going to stop.
You're not going to stop menopause.
Yeah. And so like
your ovaries are still going to fail.
Yeah. It's like you can maybe make yourself as well prepared as possible during perimenopause, and you can make yourself, give yourself the best chance to thrive, but you need both. And I think perimenopause is the perfect time to prepare your body for that.
What's one thing a woman can do this week to improve her hormone balance?
Oh gosh.
Or 5 things.
Okay. Eat the 30-33. Okay. It just takes a couple of days. Like I said, your gut is super forgiving. It forgets. It actually dies off very quickly. Their half-life is very short. And so you'll start to get benefits right away. And then another thing that I think is surprising thing I'm going to say is that morning sunlight. Like getting your circadian rhythms in check is going to improve your hormones and your energy levels and your mood within days, if not a day. So getting that morning sunlight is something you
How
can
long?
literally
What does that look like? Do you have to stand in the window? Do you have to go outside?
Yes.
Do you have to,
2 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
You can do more if you have time. I love it when I have a little time to go for a walk in nature. But if I don't, it's brushing my teeth outside for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, right? And you want to be outside. Glass blocks some of those rays that you need through your retina to your suprachiasmatic nucleus. So you want to get it straight. I've done it, and I know other people will do it, where I lower the window of my car for like a couple of minutes.
Okay.
And I'm like looking out because that's all the time I have.
Yeah.
But ideally it was like, it's, get a couple of minutes, do some mindfulness, brush your teeth, do your stretches, do your jumps.
Yeah.
Just get your body moving for 2 to 10 minutes. And that's it. Morning sunlight. And then you're done. You want to get total of 1 hour total a day for optimal health. But that can be broken up into pieces of 10, dog walk, whatever. So when you want to really optimize your hormonal function, your digestive function, your muscle function, try to get as much sunlight, natural light as you can. And you don't want as much as possible, you want that straight to your skin, and your eyes, not through a glass or sunglasses.
Okay.
If possible.
Anything else you want to share with our audience? How can they find you?
Okay, so the book is called Hormone Havoc. It is available everywhere books are sold. And my Instagram handle is Dr. Amy Shah, at Dr. Amy Shah. And that's TikTok and Instagram, although I hang out more on Instagram than TikTok. Yeah, you're kind of on both. And then amymdwellness.com is my website.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on unPAUSED. We've learned so much today.
I'm so
happy
grateful.
to finally have
Thank
you here.
you for having me.
You can find full episodes of unPAUSED on YouTube at Dr. Mary Claire. I'd love to hear from you about this topic and anything else that's on your mind. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Mary Claire and get honest and accurate information on health, fitness, and navigating midlife at thepauselife.com. unPAUSED is presented by Odyssey in conjunction with Pod People. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Claire Haver.